So far I've logged in over 1,000 hours in Beat Saber through PC and standalone, and on Quest 3 I've logged over 30 hours, and the tracking on the Quest 3 might be a little bit worse. In my opinion, the Quest 2 tracking isn't bad, but you kind of have to work around it, so it can favor you. There's a learning curve to the Quest 2, but on Quest 3 there's notes you miss that you shouldn't be missing. And sometimes when I play on the Quest 3, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage because I'm playing on it. Whereas in the Quest 2, you do miss notes from time to time, right? The tracking sometimes just craps the bed. But in Quest 2, you miss because user error, I would say. Early during the Quest 2's life cycle, I felt like the tracking was a little bit worse, and over time it got better. And Quest 3 is in a similar spot, but is significantly worse in my opinion than when Quest 2 came out, because I got both devices at launch. And the tracking isn't only worse on claw grip, because I also play default from time to time just to get a feel for it. And there's instances like this gameplay right here where you hit note after note and it's hitting it. Then you go to multiplayer or just play a song like normally, and then it just misses the most obvious note that you should have hit. And for me personally, I've taken like a 3-month hiatus of Beat Saber, but I've come back. It is my favorite game, not only in VR but of all time. I've bought every DLC. Pockets are hurting, and it sucks to suck, not because that I suck, but because the tracking is inconsistent. The Quest 3 controllers compared to the Quest 2 are more premium. They feel better. I prefer them. The haptics are better. And also to note, the haptics on Quest 3 aren't as good. And for someone like Beat Saber, Beat Games, to not update it kind of feels weird because it's the biggest game on the Quest store and Meta owns them as well. I will say, for me personally, because I exclusively play Expert Plus and I add modifiers like Ghost Notes and Faster Song, and I usually play on Fastest Song with 50% increase in speed, the tracking isn't as great. But if you play on lower difficulties, you're not a tryhard, a sweaty, or climb leaderboards, I do think you're fine playing this game. There are going to be, little hiccups, that's what comes with inside-out tracking. But it's hard to play a game competitive like me, that I've been, playing this for 4 years already, and not get annoyed at the fact that the tracking is kind of bad. And I do think this is an issue that they could probably fix over time. And we know the algorithms are different with the MetaConnect they held. There are certain areas where they excel and certain areas where they kind of suffer compared to the Quest 2, such as up in the head. But the thing is, I keep my wrists relatively, at arm's length, like at 90 degrees, and it still loses tracking whether I'm using claw grip or default grip. I will say, playing on Quest 3 on Quest 2, it's not as bad as playing on PSVR 1. That's like using an analog phone, but it does kind of suck because I love the Quest 3, great product, but it's not such an obvious jump, let's say coming from the Xbox One to Xbox Series X. The difference is night and day. It's more like a sidestep where they kind of had to sacrifice certain areas of tracking for others. And at the beginning, I thought it was claw grip. I was like, after, such a long time with claw grip, I'm going to have to change, I'm willing to for a game like Beat Saber. But it's like, even with the default grip, I'm missing notes. And Beat Games, they're kind of a complacent dev. I do like what they put out though. DLCs, I do love their game. But for the largest game over there at Meta Studios, Oculus Studios now, part of that group, and for them not to have, like the top say regarding like people that climb leaderboards, try hard, sweaties, whatever you want to call them, makes me kind of not hopeful that this will improve. Maybe slightly, but not, dramatically. One takeaway playing Beat Saber on Quest 3, one benefit that you do get is that there's certain instances where you hit notes and the notes overlap each other, and you kind of have to overlap your hands as well in order to hit the notes. And on Quest 2, when you do that, you kind of lose tracking between notes, so you kind of have to crouch and like stare with the headset looking at the controller so they don't lose tracking. But on Quest 3, this issue doesn't exist anymore. I'm able to just, overlap the controllers. It's superb on that aspect. I like that they upgraded, but they downgraded on simple hits, like what you normally play Beat Saber with. And I don't expect everyone to have these issues. I never thought I would be playing Beat Saber as much as I do, but I am. I think people that play normally, from time to time, you might want to get a sweat. It's perfectly fine. If you want to climb leaderboards, and when you climb leaderboards, you're getting inch for inch. Every point matters, whether you hit that block perfectly 115 or you don't. Hitting a 94% between a 96% makes a big difference in being able to climb the leaderboards. And by far, Beat Saber is the most competitive on Quest because the amount of people that you have playing. And I prefer to play standalone. I think, in my opinion, it is the best platform to play. Playing on Quest 3 feels like I'm playing in a worse platform. And I have to keep switching between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3. And also, I want to know, with these stats on top, the Quest 3 eats battery unlike anything. I also had the headset, between recording this. And the battery went 10% down. Just, simple pass-through, leaving my headset on. And my Quest 2 is old, so the battery integrated, it's almost dead. And look, there are certain instances where I'm able to get high scores, and with this gameplay right now showing, I finally was able to full combo on Quest 3. I got really hyped about that. On Quest 2, I didn't full combo because with all this testing that I was doing, my wrists are dead. But full combo can be achieved. But it just sucks because most of the time you're missing a random note you should be hitting. And a lot of times with speed, you're able to hit the notes. But what I will say, when on the Quest 3, in order to get the full points for cutting a block, you need to hit it at a 90-degree angle. And in Quest 3, I noticed that because the controller rubber bands, you don't get the full score, and it leads to some inconsistencies when you're charting on the boards. And look, maybe it's because I've logged over 600 hours on Quest 2, but I really don't think it's me. And not playing for like 3 months, but I'm still great at the game where I'm able to hit notes well. And also to note, whether you had good lighting, whether you had all your lights on or whether you didn't, it didn't matter. The tracking would be the same throughout the platform. And look, I'm hopeful that eventually this can get patched over time. They can solve this, with an update, or maybe they just need more data in order to improve the tracking. On Quest 3, Beat Saber looks better, run better, looks sharper with the pancake lenses, is an overall better experience, better haptics, better feeling controllers, everything all around. But inadvertently, the tracking has taken a hit. The Quest 3 makes me miss the ring IR lights on the Quest 2. It is a different step though. I think it will need some practice so I can start getting used to. I will post another update, when I eventually get over 100 hours, 200 hours. But I find it difficult to push myself to play because playing on a Quest 3 results in me getting, lower scores and worse tracking when I'm trying to hit notes. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to quickly, show a comparison between both platforms and, leave my thoughts on the subject. Leave a like if you like the video or sub. I would like to know if any other people, play Expert Plus, default grip, or, or like to climb leaderboards on Quest 2 or 3, have any similar issues, or what do you think? Do you blame it on bad tracking or is it just a skill gap? Yeah, but nonetheless, have a great rest of your day.